Welcome everyone to another episode of our beloved Paisycord podcast. This week we've got our the Chroycord JMU going on, so we've got some special guests joining me. First off, of course, you all know him. He's our tech man. He makes all the YouTube videos. Everybody loves Dark.Pch. He's on my left here. He's going to be doing coaching soon. Last I saw, your coaching signups were at like 90 some odd people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's
Nice, nice.
I'm gonna have a lot of work on.
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to manage that, man. But you know what? We will help you as much as we can because
I got. I'm used to this. I'm good.
we'll do what
Yeah.
we can because we do love Dark.Pch on our Discord. Also joining me, right below me there, is Josmarlu from Chroycord. Josmarlu, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, my name is Jose. You can call me Joss. I've been playing Smash for about 6 years now. I started playing in around 2015, and I'm PR'd in a small town called Ciudad Juarez in Mexico.
That's awesome. I think you are our first guest from Mexico. We've had people from across the U.S., of course. I myself am from Canada. We've had other people from Canada. But yeah, no, first guest from Mexico. I've been thinking we should get. You know what? When we did our Fox JMU, we almost had someone from Korea, and that would have been
Oh,
pretty cool.
shit.
But
I think I know what I'm about.
it just so happened that when we were doing the podcast, it would have been 3 a.m. for him, so it would have been 3 to 4 a.m. And the whole time I was just like, look, you don't have to come on if you don't want to. That's really late. And he's like, I'm gonna try, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna double check with you before we go live. And he's like, I'm gonna try. And then before we go live, I'm like, okay, you can say no, but are you gonna come on the podcast? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna bail on that one. And I was like, don't blame you at all. Thanks for trying. With that being said, final guest, also Chroycord, also JMU, is Gummy. He's down there, bottom left corner.
So I'm Gummy. I'm from Upper East Tennessee, but you've probably seen me play in a bunch of Wi-Fi tournaments similar to Josmarlu here. We both did a ton of Wi-Fi. I'm PR'd in my small region of Upper East Tennessee, but I've been doing really well in like the regionals I've gone to. For example, I got fifth in the Summer Smash regional in Kentucky.
That's awesome, man. And you were telling me that PR is going to be delayed for the next year or so.
Yeah, the state PR for Tennessee is being delayed for next year, so I can't go for any bigger PR.
Sucks. But what can you do? It is what it is. That being said, at least we're in August now, going into September, so it's almost 2022. Time is a marching. With that being said, let's start talking about this matchup. The Roy and Chrom, Peach and Daisy matchup. First topic would be neutral.
Mhm.
I think that a lot of people don't understand Peach neutral. I was talking to Josmarlu, to Joss about this, like just before everyone hit the call, and we were saying like, yeah, no, like it's a pretty even matchup, all things considered, but a lot of people
Okay.
don't really understand how Peach works, and they don't understand. They think like, oh, this character has really good combos, and because of that, they're really good, but like that doesn't make a good character. Like 90% of the characters in this game have good combos.
Exactly.
I would say, like,
Exactly, yeah.
honestly, neutral's the biggest decider of any matchup. It's such a big deal. Like, just being like, it's the most normal game state. So, why
Right.
don't you guys tell me a little bit about Roy and Chrom neutral? Because I know that those two played a little bit differently because of the
They do.
spacing on the swords.
So like Chrom is slightly more passive character, slightly more wall based character than Roy, because he has more range on his swords. Well, on a sword compared to Roy. In terms of like, there's no sour spot. So he'll be knocking you farther away, walling you out, pushing you back further than Roy will at max range. Whereas Roy wants to get a little bit closer and get into your face. I'll have Josh talk more about that soon. I'm just summarizing here. And so I'm not quite sure actually how Roy would approach a matchup differently. I'm sure he does. But as for Chrom in neutral, it's a very patient matchup. And so I'll let Josh talk more about Roy.
Honestly, the thing I always tell every Roy is like every single Roy in the planet thinks, no, I have to keep going in. I have to press those buttons. They're stupid. They're really good. And then you realize, oh wait, some characters are just gonna screw me over if I keep pressing buttons. And those matchups are like, Peach, for example, right? She's like one of the best characters at whiff punishing. Like straight up one of the best in the game. Because every time you screw up, you're gonna take 50 if you screw up really bad. And with Roy, that's easy to like start overextending if you just keep hitting every single nair. and I approached the matchup similarly, like more patient, like trying to keep outside dash attack range, but like close enough to where I'm not screwing up like nairs. You can fair, nair, down tilt are like really good. It's just a matchup that I think you have to like approach more, not Roy like at times, because every screw up is just like, oh, there goes my half my stock if I fuck up.
It's
Right, so it's
interesting
just
that
like,
you said
Oh,
it's interesting that you said approach it not Roy like, because like there are 80 some odd characters in this game. It really pays to like broaden your horizons and learn how other characters play so you can apply that to your character. It's very interesting
Yeah,
that you specifically pointed that out for this matchup for Roy. I thought that was interesting.
yeah, I think there's a lot of matchups in the game that like for example, I think one of them is, well, I don't want to go into it too much, but like small characters, you just play. I'm just gonna fair down tilt, and I'm gonna try to be the best Mark I can be right now.
Right, because you want to wall a smaller character like Pichu or Pikachu, because they're so fast and they'll get in on you and they'll do big damage. Not to mention, I mean, you mentioned that you make a mistake, you take a big hit, big combo. That also puts you
Yeah,
in disadvantage, and like Roy and Chrom, that can be pretty rough being off stage, especially like
yeah,
you take one
yeah.
hit, you're probably dead. Why don't we get
yeah.
the Peach perspective on this one? Dark.Pch, how would you approach neutral for this matchup? How would you coach your own students?
well, see, for this one, for neutral, you really want to take your time because both Chrome and Roy have better buttons. And in this day and age, with the meta game of Peach and Daisy players, a lot of them tend to want to bear a lot and probably approaching the air. And Chrome and Roy, they're not having because they're pretty fast. So if you're doing bear and you do that at the wrong time, they can easily get up to you and poke you with like a down tilt and then put you like in a bad spot, especially if you're in the corner versus uh well both those characters, but probably I think Roy has better a better less tracking game than Chrome. You guys can correct me on that,
I
or
think
is it
Chrome
about the same?
is better,
What was
honestly.
that?
And at least in this matchup.
Yeah,
I know that with Roy in the corner, that's a bad spot to be because his side beat just kills so early.
yeah,
Like all he gets
Yeah,
is one read or like one reaction, and you're dead at 60 because sweet spots. What can you do?
yeah, be bad. So in neutral, for Peach and Daisy side, you kind of wanna wait for an opening and then like take it or force an offensive action. Turnips are good. So you really don't want to rush it because if you approach at the wrong time, you're either gonna get nared, down tilted, and then those two characters have the advantage. And if they tap your shield correctly, you can't do anything about it. Like they're pretty much safe unless you like parry. And I feel like parrying is really important in this matchup. If they say like an average typical Roy and Chrom, if they touch your shield with like an aerial, 8 out of 10 times it's gonna be probably a down tilt or a jab, depending on the distance of how they did the aerial. So right there, I feel like for Peach and Daisy players, it's important to parry whatever they try to do after an aerial, or else you're really not gonna punish them. Even if you have a turn in the hand, the down tilt and at times jab is like really safe, and they'll probably be able to jump out the way, and you're just left open. Okay, now my turn is gone. I got a sword character in front of me, touching my shield, and I'm just like stuck there. So basically, in a nutshell, it's like keep moving, don't be still, don't throw out too many attacks because they're really good at just closing the gap and just punishing you, especially with like approaching down tilts, raw bears at times, or just catching a landing, swinging you. Excuse me, catching a landing, swing at the wrong time, and then side B, depending on your percentage, could death or put you in a crappy spot. So it's
Yeah,
basically with punishing, force up the offensive action, or force up the offensive action. I can't talk to. Force a defensive action with punish and smart pressure. Like if you overextend your pressure, depending on what it is, you can get up B out of shield. Especially with Chrome, I believe he has armor on his up B.
Roy has the armor.
Um,
Chrom is long.
Chrom. Okay.
The Chrom up B
So-
out of shield is such a good option too. Just like it does like free damage, 25% or something like that. Yeah, no, that's definitely something
Yeah,
to
and
watch out
if-
for. Shield
And that
pressure in
can
this
kill
matchup.
too.
Yeah, and it can kill at higher percents for sure. Better if it's not staled, but I mean, I know for my Chrom, it's always staled because I just always use it. It's such a good punish.
So mostly Chrom and Roy, they'll pretty much be controlling the pace of the match because you have to be careful how you approach them because they have a sword, they're quick, they have good poke. Like their poking game is really good with like down tilt and good use of jab mix ups. And yeah, so most likely due to that, they'll most likely be controlling the pace of the match just because of those attributes. So the Peach and Daisy player, they just have to be calm. If they're going to swing and playing the spacing games, I recommend like probably 2 attacks at most, and then just chill the hell out. Like don't try to go anymore because their dashing game is good, their poking is good. They can just run up down to all that stuff. Especially if you're the type of Peach and Daisy player that like you're not sure what to do, and then you want to run and get a turn up. The moment Chrome and Roy see that, oh, that's a free approach. They just get to you. And by the time you get a turn up, if they can't punish you, you're blocking.
Yeah,
And now you have to deal with their pressure.
I think
turn
that's
pulls are really dangerous in this matchup because you have to really be really good at when you're pulling your turnips because any bad turn pull, like you said, free approach.
yeah. He's got really fast those really fast stats. He can really close the gap, no problem. He's just one of those characters. I think you really like hit the nail on the head with the Peach side. Is like this is the kind of matchup you need to rely on your bait and punish.
Yes.
The Chrom and the Roy, they're the ones who are going to be dictating the pace of the match, which is a lot of Peach matchups because you want to play more defensive. But you kind of let them do that and you let them run into you and then you punish that. So definitely you're absolutely right in saying like the shield pressure is insane. Like they'll hit you with an aerial and then jabs and it's like they will mash on your shield. There's nothing you can do about that because they got a sword and they can do it for free, right? So yeah, don't rely too much on shield in this matchup or in most matchups, honestly. You want to use your movement more to be defensive rather than shield. A lot of beginner Peach players have to suffer with that.
There is times where you might have to shield because
sure.
you're not sure how they're like going to approach you. They might come down tilt or like a tilt or come at you with an aerial. You're not sure. So at times it's not bad to shield, but there are gonna be situations, no matter what character it is, you're gonna have to pull that bubble up. But don't like I guess a way to put it, don't be too idle and don't always like shield when it's not like necessary.
The way I tell people is
space,
you should not be turtling in shield. That's the wrong way.
She has amazing micro movement with her float and with her her dash dance is really good too. And so using both of those is super vital in this matchup because Chrom and Roy typically like to jump in to get approaches. But so Chrom and Roy have a top 5, like one of the best air speeds in the game, but then like close to bottom 5 air acceleration. So going back and forth once they're in the air is very difficult. Once they've jumped, they've pretty much committed to a direction. So using your float and other micro movement as Peach and Daisy is so crucial in order to get the new openings in neutral.
That's a really good point. It's also worth mentioning is when you do that micro spacing, Peach has swords. If you didn't know, she has a golf club, which is like insane reach. She has an up air, which is complete disjoint above her. Like these are some actual real threats for aerial gameplay. Like when you're dealing with someone who's jumping a lot in neutral, you can just run in and ground float up air and like just cover that space that they're jumping right into, and that's a way to counter that aerial gameplay. I think we've covered neutral pretty well so far, I think. Does anyone have anything else that they want to just like touch on before we move on?
I wanted to touch on like what he mentioned, Dark.Pch, on like what Roy does after he hits your shield. Like the thing people are not mindful with Roy, right? It's like, okay, I'm just gonna hit your shield and I'm gonna jab after. Jab is -9. A lot of people don't know that. They think like, oh, okay, it's safe as hell. It's -9. Like you can do things about it, and especially if they like get super predictable with like, oh, okay, every single time I touch your shield, I'm gonna jab.
Yeah.
So you can just like either try to parry or like even get a punish out of it because it's just not as safe.
Yeah,
I think Dark.Pch was saying parry.
I think parrying will probably be the best if they space their aerial and then they jab where I'm not in grab range. Parry would probably be the best, especially if the jab is coming because if you parry the jab, I just get a down tilt, and you know what down tilt leads.
Yeah.
That you get a lot. So that's why I recommend, like, if you know that either the Roy slash Chrom, they're gonna go to an aerial and then land with a jab, a tilt, or a down tilt, or jab, forward tilt, down tilt, anything like that. Um, just parry instead of like sitting there blocking or trying to grab them. Depending on what they do and if the attack is not spaced, yeah, you can grab them. If you're not good at parrying, you still guaranteed punish. But you really have to pay attention to how the Chrome and Roar, how the Chrome and Roy approach your shield. If it's spaced and you eyeball it, most likely you're gonna have to parry it. If not, even with a -9 on shield, Peach and Daisy won't be able to punish. They'll
Yeah.
be able to block or roll out the. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, no,
And
it's I think what makes that jab safe is the fact that you can space it from far away and you
Mhm.
have that sword
Yeah.
spacing, so it's hard to punish like that. But yeah, no, it's like there's also a matter of mix-ups on shield too. It's like when somebody hits
Yeah.
your shield, they can start doing mix-ups with their attacks, but you can mix up your out of shield. Like if you have, say,
Yeah, it's
Roy,
rock paper scissors.
yeah, if like Roy has done a fully spaced fair on your shield, you can jump back if you want, and you can jump out of his range, but if he catches onto that, he can also chase you and punish you for that as well. So it's a very evolving kind of gameplay when it comes to any kind of high pressure character, but that especially includes Roy and Chrom because they can chase you. They have those disjoints. It's a very good combination. It's very fun. Makes for a very fun character to play. I think that's why it's very common pick competitively.
Yep.
That being said, let's talk about advantage and disadvantage. So like when Chroy is in when Roy and Chrom are in advantage state, what would you say is like their best advantage state to be in? What do they want?
All right. So what I want when I hit Peach is I want to get a nice clean combo that puts them at the ledge. Is what I want because dealing with their landings with like their different float cancel fast falls or their different floats or their or if they have a turnip in hand. While they do somewhat struggle to land against us because of our disjoint and range, it still can be tricky due to all the different fastball timings and mix-ups that float gives them. But at the ledge, they don't really have that. And so I much prefer to push them to the ledge and get them stuck there as Chrom specifically, because I have such reach at the ledge that they will have trouble getting off. And
Yeah,
that's
for
where I'll get
sure.
most of my kills.
Not to mention that forward tilt is just so good for ledge trapping too, because it just sends them
Yeah.
right back off.
Yeah, mine hits the ledge. Chrom's forward tilt hits the ledge, but Roy's forward tilt does not.
Right. Yeah, no,
And
I
that's not
think ledge trapping is definitely where Roy and Chrom really thrive because they have the speed, they have the moves, they have the buttons. It's just all works out perfectly when it comes to ledge trapping. What about edge guarding? I understand that ledge trapping is obviously like the better option. It usually is for most characters, but how does edge guarding go for Roy and Chrom?
as Chrom, I don't do it. um, unless
I
like they have,
respect it.
yeah, if they unless they're obviously out of resources where they have no double jump and they're about to run out of float, I might try, but I'm not gonna try and bother most of the time. Like because if I miss, they get on stage. It's their Peach and Daisy's counter is some of the hardest, the sweet spot in the game for Chrom because you can get past it. It's just really really difficult, and they have so many other ways that counter reversal us off stage that it's just not worth it to go for an edge guard as Chrom most of the time. As for Roy, I would need Joss's opinion on edge guarding.
I think so. It's like mostly ledge trapping, but the thing you're gonna just look for is trying to two frame downer, like on recovery. So you get the sword to hit before the umbrella. Like you're not putting yourself at risk of hitting the umbrella there. Because that's the thing, right? When you get hit with the umbrella, it's like, oh fuck, I'm back at ledge, and you're at ledge now, so I just kind of have to like react if I miss attack. Did I get the attack? Whatever, dude. But when I go off stage, that's the thing, right? It's like, does she have to side B? Most often, no, she doesn't. She has float. She just gets down for free. And the thing about Roy and Chrom specifically is that when they run off stage, they run off at an angle. Every single time they run off at an angle, and they can't cover riding the wall. They straight up can't. Like Roy, the most thing you can do with Roy to cover riding the wall is upbeat back to ledge. And even then, you're giving up like the ledge trapping position, which is just not worth it. IMO either.
I'm actually going to disagree with you guys on one point there. I would say actually specifically Chrom, but because of the lack of sour spot. But for both of these characters, you can actually edgeguard Peach from a certain angle. So like you said, if she's coming up from straight below, you probably don't even want to bother. The parasol has insane priority. It's a disjoint. It interrupts so many moves. Like, it's really hard to edgeguard this character because she has up air and up B, as well as a slower forward air that's just really good for smacking people. And if you're not expecting it, that's stage spike, right? But normally it's risky play. But if she's approaching from the right angle, I would say that you have the speed and disjoint to be able to say, this is the stage. If I'm down here, not quite at ledge, but not quite low enough, you can just run off and hit me with fair and jump off and back to ledge. And I've probably just lost a jump. I might have lost float. And when it comes to Peach off stage, every resource, you can kind of like tick them off a checklist. So it's like, oh, that's the jump. And oh, she's forced to float in and then up B. If you can hit her out of that up B, she's really fucked, because now all she can do is up B, and that up B travels somewhat vertically and then really predictably horizontally. You always want to hit her from the side, and that's why I say it's actually like, this is a kind of character that you can definitely edgeguard as Roy and Chrom, because you can very quickly meet her off stage and then jump back to ledge, so you're ready for another hit. You'll see a lot of people, it's basically the same thing Lucinas do, is they'll hang on ledge, they'll drop down and back air and then back to ledge. You can pull that off, but again, only from certain angles. Like, you definitely don't want to always try to edgeguard this character, just like anyone. You want to weigh that situation and be like, is it worth it here? Will this actually work? Which a lot of new players don't really do. They don't really consider, will my edgeguard work? They just think, oh, it's going to be cool if this works. But yeah, if you put a little bit of thought into that, you can definitely capitalize when Peach is off stage there, for sure.
Question, I'm not sure, but could Roy and Chrom counter the up B? Like, would actually hit if it's from below?
I think they can. I'm not entirely sure.
It depends on the spacing,
Okay.
from what I've seen. I'm actually not entirely sure either. But whenever I've tried in the past, if they're max spaced, you can counter it. Like, if they have to max space up B, you can't counter that. But if they're going like 2/3 of their up B range to the ledge, they'll usually snap before it actually the camera comes out.
Right, gotcha. But I guess if you were to just fast fall right in front of ledge and then use your counter, you'd probably be able to catch that.
Yes.
I would suspect. Obviously, it would require some testing, but yeah, no, I do think it would work. I just don't think it would be 100% consistent, like we said. As for juggles, I would imagine that Chrom's got really good juggles and frame traps. But what about Roy? Because that sour spot, I feel like it really defines a lot of advantage state, where like you can try juggling, but with that sour spot, you're not going to have as effective juggles just because like they're not getting sent as far away. What do you think about that one, Joss? What would you tell us about Roy juggles?
Okay. Let me tell you, for one, Roy sour spot up air, normally it's like stupid, but when you realize, right, like when you get a festival, like say I'm at short hop distance of you, and I up air a platform, and I sour, I can keep mashing up air every single time. Because I can't, if I react to like, oh, it's sweet spot, I can just like, oh, okay, it's sweet spot. Now I'm going to cover you. But if it doesn't sweet spot, I can keep mashing up air. Because it's hard to react like, shit, I got soured, so I'm not going to air dodge now. A lot of people just can't. Unless they were like trying to buffer it, and then they just, oh, okay, it didn't come out. But guess it come out after I got hit. And the jungling in general, like Roy Upper is just really good. Because you can just draw it out and land without much lag and keep covering shit.
Right. And of course, that speed, that really high air speed and fast fall speed, it makes for a lot of frame traps. Like, you can fall with an up air, and if they air dodge, you can jump back up and up air and hit them again. I can definitely see some mileage out of that. When it comes to Peach being in disadvantage in that juggle state, she's actually has a really unique option with float, where a lot of people will just sit there and be like, Peach is floaty, you can juggle her for days. But as the Peach player, if you know how to escape those juggles, you can escape them pretty much for free, because if your opponent tries to meet you in the air, you can just jump away and float and just microspace away, and then you can fast fall and air dodge, and you get the ground for free. It's definitely the type of thing where whenever I'm in the air, I'm just watching for someone to commit to something. So it's like, as soon as I see them full op, I'm like, all right, I can just dodge them for free. It's nothing. It's easy.
Yep.
I think that alone makes her juggle situations kind of busted. But I think in this matchup, it makes for a lot more mix-ups and questions. Like we said with shield pressure, like with anything, it's like now you have mix-ups, now you have adaptations, and you have habits, and like you're starting to pick up on things, and that's really where you start to get into the meat of any kind of gameplay, where it's not even about the characters anymore. Now it's about the players. It's like you're not fighting Peach, you're fighting Shnoork's Peach or Dark.Pch's Daisy, you know.
One thing I want to say for the juggle situation with Chrom and Roy, if they get Peach and Daisy in the air and they get them in a juggle state, I feel like the most important thing for them to do is after like 1 or 2 hits, act like you're gonna go for more, and then just land and don't do anything because you want that float gone.
Yes.
Once that float is gone, like you baited out of them, however way, shape, or form, you won't have to worry too much about a mix-up as they're falling. There's only really two things you're gonna have to worry about. One, if they want to come down with a button, which if you call it out, you got a sword. You don't got to worry too much about that. The other one is if they're gonna air dodge in a certain direction, which again you can bait that out by jumping towards them and then just land and then wait for those two options. And then once you do that, as they're falling, you got the speed to catch them and then either get them up there again and continue the juggle process, or get them off the stage and just kill them all. So I feel like that's one of the most important things that a lot of people need to do when fighting Peach and Daisy players is that float. You really need to pay attention because you commit too hard, they can just move out the way as he explained, and then like, oh well, I missed free damage or I missed a free kill. They get to land. Now instead of you having the advantage, it goes back to neutral.
Correct.
Or your advantage won't be as strong as, okay, they land, but they're in the corner.
Yeah, it definitely
And
pays
now
to.
it's a guessing game again, even though you're still in control.
It
So
definitely
that float,
pays
gotta
to.
get it out.
Yeah, you gotta bait those resources in the air, especially when you're
Yes.
juggling. And it goes for anyone, but especially for Peach, just because of that float. Because when you do that float dodge, like you're burning jump. A lot of the time, you don't have to burn jump, but you're usually burning jump and your float. Now you're basically helpless.
Yeah.
And if they've just baited that option out of you, you're gonna have a lot more trouble getting to land. You're gonna have to go to ledge for sure, you know. Especially because she's floaty and like people say on paper she's easy to juggle. Well, when you get rid of those two options, yeah, she's really easy to juggle.
Yeah. Once those options are on, for sure.
Yeah, I can tell you for Peach advantage, I would honestly say that especially in this matchup, ledge trapping is really where it's at. In the air, Roy and Chrom, they have first off they have the fast aerials, so they can challenge you with a lot of things. We do have that up air, which is disjointed, but given the fast fall speed on these two characters, they can often like overshoot you really quick and like just nick you with a nair and then they land for free, or just fast fall air dodge or like anything like that. All the fast fallers, they're hard to juggle just because like they can get out of it easy. You'll get
Yes.
your initial juggle, you'll get 3 or 4 hits off of it, but after that, it's going to be a lot harder to keep them there. And then they're going to land, and then they can very, very likely reverse that situation. You do want to be a bit more conservative when you juggle a character like Roy and Chrom, but having them at ledge is really where it's at because nobody has all their options at ledge.
Right.
And Peach ledge trapping is just really good because like where most characters, if they want to pressure with aerials, they have to short hop and then fast fall the aerial. She doesn't have to do that. She can just do it from ground. She can back air,
Yep.
neutral air whenever she wants. She has such good ledge trapping. She can honestly just sit there and react to anything you do and hit you for it. It really, really like you really need to mix up your options at ledge against this character, which fortunately for Roy and Chrom, they have a sword, as we have
Yes.
established, and you can just drop down and jump up and throw a fair, and you can probably beat something out, but then you get into those layers of gameplay where it's like, okay, well now I know that you're gonna fair, so I'm just gonna shield that, and then I'm gonna punish you with a back air or something, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, no, her ledge trapping game is really strong. But I think while that's kind of like the good go-to, the edge guarding is probably the biggest threat in this matchup
I agree.
for that character because against Chrom, we already touched on the counter. Toad will hit most of the time because the spores are RNG. They just spit out
Okay.
randomly.
Yes.
We actually tested it briefly earlier in the week. Someone did it 10 times just to test, and they found that it missed once. So it's mostly consistent from what we could tell. Um, it's very hard to max space around it, from my understanding.
Yeah.
But even then, she can just do she can float at ledge and neutral air if she's not confident in the counter. And
Correct.
there's no hitbox at the top of that when he reaches the top. So if you time your neutral air right, that's a kill. Not to mention turnips. As he's coming towards the ledge, you want to hit him with a turnip. The best case scenario, you snipe out the jump, which is what I'm constantly looking for, is when is the opponent forced to jump? And if I know, okay, if you don't jump now, you're going to die, I just throw the turnip and they jump into the turnip and there's the stock. For Roy, I would say the bigger threat is turnips. Like Chrom, it's better to wait for the counter, but against Roy, turnips are a much bigger threat because he is fast in the air, but that air acceleration is low, like we said. So as soon as he hits that second jump, it's going to be a lot easier to hit him. Not to mention the up B. The up B has armor in the first few frames, but once he starts going, you can bop him with it, and then you can bop him 3 more times, then he's dead. Or at the very worst, he's just taking 40%,
And I think as Chroy, when he's rising, that's when he's open.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
When he has armor just as he starts it.
The second he starts rising, the armor's gone for Chrom.
It is a risk. Sorry, go ahead.
Roy doesn't have armor when he up-Bs on the air. He only has it on the ground.
Yeah, rolling grounded armor.
Yeah, no, which is why turnips are just really good for sniping Roy off stage. You can just grab a turnip and wait for him, and more often than not, you'll be able to take a stock like that, especially if he's at 50 or 60%, and especially if you have walls, because then he can't go under the stage to avoid the turnip, which is kind of the best way to deal with that. He's forced to go straight up, and if you're going straight up, guess what? Turnip goes straight down.
Yep. And there's a blind spot in his hitbox behind Roy, so that's where you want to aim.
Yeah.
Yeah, on his head, there's a little part where he just doesn't have any sword covering him. So you just aim for the head on Roy.
Yeah, we call it the bonk zone.
Excuse me, guys. I'll be back in 30.
Yeah, no worries.
No worries.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Roy. You just want to take his jump. That's the first thing you want to do against Roy. Because the thing that makes Roy's recovery decent, the recovery itself on a vacuum sucks. But when you add, the jump, it's okay, he needs to jump to make it back every single time. And the thing is, after you take his jump, if you hit him far enough, and he's high up, he always has to air dodge. Every single time to get, the momentum initiated. So, if you just force him out of the jump and he has to air dodge, that's just, okay, I'm just gonna kill you now.
Yeah, no, offstage is definitely the biggest risk zone for this character. But sometimes you can't always go for the edge guard. That's just the truth of the fact of the matter is the opponent's not always in the right position. You don't always have the right angle to go for your edge guard. So you do have to play it patient with the ledge trapping. And I mean, I think the best part about ledge trapping Roy and Chrom in this game is you send him off stage, and guess what? Now they're off stage again, and you have another chance to go for that edge guard. And you have a different angle that they're approaching from, and you can sit there and say, oh, maybe I can edge guard this time, and then you'll get the kill,
Yep.
I think overall we've summarized pretty well neutral, advantage, and disadvantage. I don't really think there's too much else to cover there.
There's one thing I want to say when it comes to edge guarding, particularly against Roy. If you can manipulate Roy or force him to recover in a certain way, where he has to go up towards the ledge, you can position yourself right and grab the ledge, and then as he up Bs, you can just let go and corner him. So a good way to do it is, if you knock him off the stage, you can kind of fake that you're gonna run off, because the moment the opponent sees you approaching the ledge, 8 out of 10 times they think you're gonna do something aggressive. They're like, oh shit, I might have to double jump or air dodge. So you can grab the ledge to bait those type of reactions, and either two things could happen. Either you wait for the jump, and then you just let go of the ledge, toss the turnip, he gets knocked back, and then he can't make it, or you sit there a bit, and as he's rising, let go of the ledge and counter. So that's one trick you can do, but you also have to be careful with that, because if the Rush suspects it, they can delay their recovery to a point where you either counter too early or you counter too late, and then Roy can either hit you or get back onto the...
Yeah, it
But
definitely
that's
sounds
a
like a
trick that
good way
Peach and
to
Daisy push.
definitely sounds like a good way to bait that aggression. But with any like baits on aggression, there's those risks of, oh, oops, they were aggressive, and they hit me for it.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned you gotta be
Yeah,
careful with
yeah.
that. But that's a thing you can on Roy in particular.
Yeah, it's definitely that mix-up game that constantly trying new things to throw off your opponent. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. With that being said, let's
Uh,
talk stages. Unless Josh had anything to add
yeah, I
there.
wanted to add something else. When you're getting ledge trapped, like the thing is, Peach doesn't really have any quick options when she like drops ledge and jumps, other than side B, and that's a huge ass commitment if you do that. Like, if I'm not mistaken, like I think that's the only thing that's quick enough where I would say, okay, that's kind of a mix-up, but
The
I
main
wouldn't
Quick
option
enough
there
really.
to
is
what? To go off the stage and
no
hit
for
you?
Peach at ledge.
Yeah, for Peach at ledge, like if she's at ledge,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't think there's like much she can do outside of like do that side B is just like a fuck it, I'm just gonna do it.
she has a few, so she has a few
She,
options. The
Well,
main
one
one that
thing
I
she can
like,
do is if you just do a regular getup, a lot of people don't know about this, but when you do a regular getup, you're open for like 2 frames before
For
you
one.
can block.
Yeah.
Just one this game.
Huh?
it's fun.
just
Is
one.
Fun
one?
this game.
It was
Oh,
2 in Smash 4 1 this game.
okay, that's good to know. But yeah. So what Peach and Daisy can do is, if they sense or see that you do a regular getup, they can do a nair in place, and that can hit you.
Yeah.
So this is obviously granted they're close enough. So that's what I tend to do at times. I like right as the opponent's on the ledge, I kind of like float and move towards them, and as they get up, uh, my nair will catch. And another thing is what I tend to do is as a mindfuck them, I'll float towards the ledge, and then I'll pull back. Because the moment the people see me going towards the ledge, they're like, "Oh shit, he probably won't try to." So they'll try to roll behind me to think they could get onto the stage for free and put me in the corner. And then as I pull back, they roll, and then they get nair. So
Gotcha.
that's another thing. Or at times, I'll just float a bit, and then I'll just drop, and then I'll just stand there looking at the opponent, and then I'll float again, and then I'll start moving in, and it makes it really difficult for the opponent to either get up, a neutral get up where they'll get nared, roll in where they're rolling to the nair, or bear depending on where I'm facing. I personally like nair because the landing lag is less. Or they try to jump, I'm at a float distance where I can kind of shark their landing. Even though against Roy and Chrom, it could be tricky because they're earth. So if I'm floating and sharking their landing, my float is not going to catch their earth. I will like have to run on the ground to forward.
Yeah.
But that's a few things. And
Right.
outside, if I'm not close enough, as you said, either side B, or if I got a turnip in my hand, just chuck it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, I just want that.
To cover
Yeah, 'cause,
your
like-
question there, Joss, you were asking about Peach getting off the ledge.
Yeah.
So side B is not great for that because while it's a surprise option and she moves with it, which is obviously,
No, yeah, obviously.
good, it doesn't have a hitbox. It has like a detector box, and so because of that, it loses to any hitbox basically. What I like to do personally is forward air. It's only frame 16, which is slow, but it's not that slow.
Yeah.
So you can drop down and jump in with forward air, and it's just a massive hitbox, and it reaches in front of you. Whole arm extends. There's a very slight disjoint on it too. It catches a lot of people off guard. It's basically got the range of like Bowser get up attack, which is massive. It's like if you're at roll distance, Bowser get up attack will hit you.
Yeah.
Forward air is the same way. It will catch a lot of people off guard, especially if you mix up your timing. If you do it like, if I notice my opponent's fucking around with their ledge trapping, I'll just throw a forward air and it'll hit.
Yeah.
But she can also has other niche options. So if she has float, she can do a ledge jump and then jump cancel fast fall straight to the ground, and she'll
Yep.
be lagless basically.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah,
a
it looks
lot
like a waveland in a way.
yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
waveland,
gotcha.
but there's no lag. And so the issue with that is it suffers from the same stuff as like a neutral getup. It's vulnerable to the same options as a neutral getup, or even like covering someone's jump. But it's a movement option. It's a different pick, as well as like you can just straight up jump up and then jump up away and float. And it's just like when you're being juggled, you can use that to like avoid
Yeah,
your
like, try to
opponent.
get down.
You can do exactly that. You can use that same
Okay.
principle when you're at ledge. So she does have some nifty little options when she's at ledge, and but the aggressive mix-up is usually forward air, not side B.
And ledge
Okay.
roll. Right before we
Yeah.
go to stages, I just want to quickly mention her ledge roll is one of the best in
Yeah.
the game.
She has a very good ledge roll.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. I was gonna talk about it because like when you're getting ledge trapped by Roy, I think there's like 3 things he can do generally. Either stands at like normal get up distance with like shield. He either does that the same thing, but he's just mashing nairs, like cover jumping, or he's at roll distance. That's kind of what he's usually looking for. But even with the nairs, sometimes people just look for jab there, like straight up just get the jab. Or what I'll do is just try the side B because it hits like he mentioned before, like the 1 frame. Sometimes the side B just is active enough, just hit that shit, and
Yeah.
you die
Yeah.
at 60, and it's not fun. That's just kind of what you gotta be looking out for, because a lot of the Roys, what I've noticed, they just don't mix it up with what kind of ledge trap they do.
I think
So it's just
that's a lot of people, a lot of lower level players, is they don't really understand all of their options. They don't really understand all the different ways they can pressure. They have one that's really good, and they'll stick with that. But mix-ups are so important in this game, and every level, every aspect of this game, you need your mix-ups.
One
For
thing I
sure.
want to add, the fair on the ledge thing, even though it's good, you gotta be careful because that move is 16 frames. Really, yeah, 16 frames. The hitbox is out for 4. So even though it's good, if the Roy and Chrom, they're like really observing you and they're staying in, like, as you said, roll distance, the moment you fair and like it misses or is blocked, depending on who you do it to, you can either get up B or on your landing, you can get down to.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
Like they
right.
can stay at a fair range, and then the moment you do it, like they can just down tilt you or you put yourself in a bad spot. So I would do something like that
It's definitely a risk.
as like a mix up, yeah.
Yeah,
Especially a
you
high
do it as a
percent, I
mix-up.
would like
I also do
you
that
asking
like
that.
in response to my opponent to how they're ledge trapping. Like if they're just like at roll distance, they just keep short hopping. That's a free forward air.
Then
That's
yeah,
gonna
if
hit
it's
them.
sloppy,
If they're
yeah.
being
But if they're
sloppy,
being
you can hit them every
calm,
time.
I would like
Yeah, no,
chill.
you're absolutely right about that one. It's definitely not an every single time option. It's something you pull out when you see that your opponent's not expecting it. It's a good mix up.
Yeah, I just want to mention. I don't want people on the stream think, oh, where we
Oh
can
no,
just
you're
shred up the ledge
for sure.
anytime we
Yeah,
like.
no,
No, you
I
gonna
didn't
get
mean
people
to.
whooped out
I
here,
didn't
man.
mean to give that impression. But if I did,
You gonna
yeah,
get
no,
people
don't
killed.
do
Nah, I
that.
just want to set the record straight,
Yeah, no, for sure. That being said, let's talk stages. We should start with probably the most neutral stage. Let's talk about FD. How does Chroy feel about FD?
Ban that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't like that stage.
Okay, I need to know. 'Cause I thought you would like it. No platform free juggles. Why would you ban it?
Well, 2 things. First off, it's definitely one of our worst stages in terms of because there's no platforms, since we have little ways to change our air acceleration, and it makes juggling and landing much harder for us to deal with. And also, in general, in this matchup, I know I have been told that Peach and Daisy actually do well on the stage. And I believe it's because of the fact that there's no platforms for us to retreat to at times. Because again, it's a very slow matchup, and you want to be able to, play. Oftentimes they'll go like 1 minute on the clock, but in that matchup, the stage is so volatile that it can go one way too fast, too quickly. And it's also too small, in my opinion, especially since there's no platforms, for us to keep away from Peach once we have a lead. Because once we have a lead, I'm not approaching. I'm trying to wall you out for the rest of the game. But it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to get back to the other side of the stage with no platforms and mix up my retaking of center if I ever corner myself accidentally when I'm doing that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like when it comes to any character, like having platforms to be able to retreat to is often a really good breather. For Peach, she's not the fastest on the ground or in the air. She does have fast movement. She has really good movement. She has really good platform movement as well. But you can definitely use those platforms as a breather against her. Maybe not as effectively as against some other characters. Like some characters, you can just completely platform camp them and they can't do anything about it. But
Right.
yeah, no, you can use them sparingly in this matchup to kind of get away from Peach every now and then if you need to. I think the reason why most Peach players like FD is because it doesn't mess up their combos. certain things like down throw to back air, they'll land on the platform after the down throw at certain percents, which can be really annoying because now they can tech it, or now you can just straight up whiff the back air. And it just messes up combos like that. It messes up some other things as well, like if you do your down tilt to up air drag down, if they're too high, if you have to do jump cancel fast fall up air drag down, sometimes they'll get stuck on the platform. There's just different things that messes people up. It's honestly not a huge deal. It's not the type of thing that you can't adapt to and like figure out, but that's generally why people say FD is good for Peach.
I see.
think
That makes sense.
that's my impression at least.
Makes sense.
Joss, you were also saying you didn't like the stage for Roy.
I don't like FD personally because of a multiple of reasons. One, no platforms means like if I fuck up and up B on Peach, I'm gonna take the 50% every single time. Like if I go to the platform, I'm generally fine. Like I'm just gonna get a fair, a nair, whatever, dude. I'm just gonna go off stage. I'll take that. But I don't want to take the 50 if I fuck it up once at the start of my stock, or one.
He's talking like up B out of shield, because Roy can up
Yeah.
to a platform or not to a platform and mix up between landing on the platform and falling through it. It's really good mix up for him out of shield. If he up Bs to try and stuff out your pressure but misses, he still has safety options with platforms, and on FD those safety options are gone.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing is that I think Roy, as sometimes just becomes very linear, with like he wants to approach with nair side, sometimes like go in with side B or fair. But if you stay at mid range versus Roy, right, you can kind of just react to a lot of the shit he's gonna do. Like if you stand there, and even then initial dash in this game, I don't know if people know this, but dashing is a huge ass commitment in this game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You can't do shit. 11 frames of not being able to do something, you can just play something, hit him, and oh wow, you're just gonna get hit on your initial dash.
Arius is in chat. Arius was just saying that they also hate FD for Peach because platforms are really good for landing. It helps in any disadvantage state, whether it's juggling or like ledge guarding or edge trapping. I mean, yeah, platforms are really good for Peach in general. That's why some of our players hate FD because they just love platforms so much. Platforms are really good for this character.
Yeah, that's how I was questioning why you guys don't like FD in this match. Because like once you get in the air, again, if you just fake assaults and just get that float out the way, it's like it'll be easy to call out stuff and then just hit her.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And if
Especially
she
if
doesn't
you
want to
just
land
like
on top of you because she's taking too much damage, like okay, like me personally, I don't like landing on top of people. I don't care what character I am, especially with Peach and Daisy. I don't like landing on top of people. So if I try to and the opponent's waiting and they getting their damage, I'm like, you know what? F that. I'll go to the ledge. And if I have to go to the ledge, that's where you guys shine because of your ledge game.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though you guys, as you mentioned, why you don't like it, and I get that, it also could be bad for Peach and Daisy, as I just explained. So I feel like I would say whoever has more control, who's ever confident in keeping the pace of the match in their favor, you know, it'll be better off for them. But I feel like the playing field is it's both ways. It's basically who can keep better control in the match.
Yeah, I'd also say it's a pretty even
stage
stage.
will go in their favor.
I'd say it's a pretty even stage this matchup.
I've been warming up to FD, Final Destination, and the R stage Kalos that typically people say is bad for Roy and Chrom. I've been warming up to that a lot more recently, as have been a lot of other top level Chrom and Roy players. But I still think in this matchup, it's too volatile. It's a risk I don't want to take because there's too much that can go wrong.
Right.
I respect.
Safety.
I also think it's a really good point for Roy's, where like, oh, he can't use his up B trick to the platform. I think that's a really good option to have, because like the up B is such a commitment. If it doesn't work, you need something to fall back on. And FD, you don't have that. Like the best you can do on FD, if you've done that, is maybe try to cross them up if you can. But yeah, no, it's a very tough spot to be in, and it just gets rid of a really good option. So yeah, no, I can see why Roy would definitely want to ban it, and I can see why anyone would want to ban FD. Just in general, if we talk about when we talk about the Chrom stuff. So
I do think it's better for Chrom the matchup than Roy though. So
right, yeah. No, I was just thinking the same thing basically. What about triplats?
See here, I personally have always, just as a player, I always really enjoy those stages, and also I personally think that they're good against Peach because they can help you bait out floats because you can use the platforms to be on the platforms to help be at level where they have to do something, depending how high they're floating, where you can react in time to deal with whatever their float mix-up is. Also, it makes it easier to. They have more platforms to land to, but because of how fast we are, we can get to those platforms, and more importantly, we can extend our juggles longer on her, which we talked about earlier. It's a little bit hard to extend those juggles sometimes. Granted, and because you can go from platform to platform to platform, jump up the platforms, and so overall, I actually like those stages against her. I'm still pretty undecided though on which stages to play against her. I could definitely be swayed, by good arguments. But those are the stages I would try to take her to. So like Yoshi's and um, Battlefield.
When you mention that, I feel like you would probably like small Battlefield against her a bit better because she has really good platform movement because she can jump up and jump cancel fast fall. So she can, this is the platform, she just go boop and she's on the platform now. She has so many movement mix-ups based around platforms, like she can run off and jump back on. And it's just, she has such good platform movement that generally a lot of our Peach players now that they've practiced their platform movement really like tri-plats for Peach. Just a really flexible stage in general. But small Battlefield, she still has some of that, but without the top platform, she can't really run away from you as much. So for what you're saying, for what you're talking about, I feel like small Battlefield might be preferred over regular Battlefield.
That makes a lot of sense. And that actually does make a lot of sense. I like that. That's a very good point.
Yeah. Especially for Roy, because Roy has that up B mix-up.
Right.
What were you saying, Dark.Pch?
Oh, I was saying on small Battlefield, if the Roy / Chrom they were predicting or trying to get some information on how the Peach will type of land will try to land, they can kind of stand in the center in between the platforms to see where they're drifting or how to try to land, and then their airspeed, they can just go under the platform. They send someone aggressive, wait for that, and then either up air or up. So it's kind of like a safety. For that, I feel like could also be good for.
You also mentioned Kalos was a stage that a lot of people don't like. Is that also just because it's mostly like FD? It's just mostly flat?
Yes, that's the main reason that a lot of Crown Roy players don't like it as much. I've been opening up to it more because getting off the ledge in that stage is way easier now because that side platform, and comboing to the side platform to the kill confirms is actually extremely easy as Crown on that stage because of the side platform, both for Kalos and Northern Cave, which is now seeing more popularity. But that's the main reason a lot of Crown players and Roy players don't like it. It's just because most of the stage is FD.
Right. I imagine that it's also really good for that side B for Roy. If Roy catches a side B on that platform, that's going to kill even earlier than it would at ledge. Just laughably early.
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
so no, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. Another thing about Kalos too is like sometimes like you want characters dying really fucking quick, and then you're like, it's not by much, but like sometimes just not killing. Say I'm killing 30 at 90% on other stages. Oh wow, he didn't die at 100 on Kalos now. He has to go. It's like that kind of shit. Like it doesn't matter too much, but sometimes when you when you think about it, it's like, do I really want this character living a little more? Like, I just want to be blowing them up.
Yeah. And I can see Big Blast Zones being a struggle against some characters like Lucario or Terry, who kind of all they really want is to live just a little bit longer so that they can get their comeback mechanics live. It's just real great game design if you ask me, So I guess it sounds like, I feel like for Roy and Chrom, they don't really have that much trouble killing. I feel like they would generally like the big blast zones because it means that they would also live a bit longer. But then you also come up on the problem of those edge guarding states being not that great. What's that?
I think our edge guarding is too good for us to be making use of the longer living.
Yeah.
Because by the time we're living longer, at the percents we're living longer, we'll be out too far where Peach can pull turnips or get set up with float at the ledge, the neutral air, so that we're basically checkmated.
Yeah.
Is the only issue. Like in our matchup, I totally agree. But in this matchup,
right? Yeah. That being said, I imagine you guys would like small blast zones.
Yeah.
Because of the explosive kill potential there.
Yes. Depends which small blast zones. We prefer side small blast zones because most of our kill moves go to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Smashville would be a good stage.
Yes, Smash will be good in that regard. It's a little scary because how small it is, but at the same time, it's definitely pretty good for us. Especially, I'd say better for Roy because he doesn't have to worry quite as much about dying for being off stage.
Yeah, gotcha. Um, how about Pokemon Stadium, the gentleman's.
I think in the matchup, that would probably be like besides maybe town or small battlefield, if those are on the list, that would be the best stage that we can get a start on. Like just the most neutral, the best start for us to go to. And so like I'm someone who I'm not going to just agree to Pokemon Stadium unless I think it's going to help me. And so this would be a matchup where I would agree to Pokemon Stadium on most lists because I would want to um, have a stage that is not too detrimental to me and works. Even if it's just a neutral stage, I want to make sure that I'm not like being penalized game one for my stage pick.
Right. I do think it would be a good one for Peach in this game, in this matchup, just because like it's a big stage. She has space to
Right.
run herself. It gives her more
Right.
options defensively. Plus, she can move around those platforms. They are a good height for her. She doesn't have too many problems with them really. Yeah, no, I think all around this is another one of those decent stages, just like Battlefield or something like that. Like just pretty even
I agree.
stage. It's a good pick. I will tell you that for Peach, most Peach players really hate slopes. So stages like Yoshi's or Lilat mess them up a lot because ground float aerials with the
Okay.
slopes, it'll mess them up. Like if you have the slope here and you move towards the slope, you'll land. And it'll
Yes.
make it so that you land with an insane amount of lag. Your hitbox doesn't even come out. It messes people up. I
Oh
can
yeah.
tell you, for me personally, I've put a lot of practice into those stages, and you can work around it. There are ways to not get screwed over by those slopes as Peach. That's just something you have to learn to deal with. It's not that hard, but most Peach players don't know how to do that. Most Peach players
Right.
hate those stages and therefore don't practice on them and therefore are bad on them.
Right.
So, I
I
mean,
agree.
for most people, I would say 9 times out of 10, take them to a stage with slopes. If they show you that they don't have trouble with those slopes, consider changing it up. Because
Right.
with Yosh, the walls make for easy turn-up edge guarding. Uh, Although small blast zones definitely going to pay off for Roy and Chrom. So I mean, I think either way that would be a good ban for Peach, just in general in this matchup. But and then there's Lilat, and I don't think anyone likes Lilat except for casual Lilat enjoyers like this guy right here. Uh, Really, it's just the
Okay.
fact that people hate it that I love it.
Okay.
I might be the only oddball that would actually play on Lilac, and
Dude,
there's
I
only
counterpick to Lilat all the time. It's like it's a good
Right.
counterpick stage.
there's one reason I accept it, and it's usually because since her platform pressure is good, the platforms are like so close, and there's like a small gap, so it makes it really easy for me to like just catch people's landings or frame trap their landings and get a point.
Yeah, it's got really good platforms. A lot of people just don't know how to work on those platforms because they just don't like
Yeah.
playing that stage. So it's another one of those cases. You hate the stage, you don't practice the stage, and then you're bad on that stage. So
I think Lilat's personally good for Chrom. I actually really enjoy that stage with Chrom. I think it's really bad for Roy because the slants mess up, get him more sour spots. And more importantly for Roy, his recovery just is so vulnerable in Lilat because a lot of times he will not snap at ranges he would normally snap because of the ledge being not big enough. Even though they did fix it a bit, it's still a problem for Roy.
right.
But whenever, because I actually played both in bracket at this point, but whenever I play Chrom, I'm always like really wanting to go that stage. But as Roy, if it's on the list, I'll ban it.
I
So
think the only stage we haven't talked about so far is Town and City.
yeah, I'm going.
Fan town, please
Yeah.
don't do it to yourself.
You should ban
Don't do.
yeah, you should don't let Roy and Chrom get that stage.
Why not? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
All right, Joss, I know you have a lot to say about this.
Okay. So, the thing about Roy is that he combos you horizontally every single time, and he gets the platforms to combo you vertically too, right? I like to think of that platform on the middle as a springboard. You get up air, and then you get another up air because you landed on the platform on the second up air. And then when you get the horizontal combos, you can get double nair, and then if you die to the going to the platform, oh okay, I'm just gonna chill here. You die at Fed at 40 straight up. You're just gonna die.
Correct.
So it's definitely the kind of stage where those platforms make those combos just 10 times stronger, huh?
That's correct.
And it just opens up new ones vertically that he otherwise wouldn't have.
Yes.
Definitely sounds like a stage to ban.
And the best part is that we struggle to kill up, but we really like killing to the side. And the blast zones to the side are small, but the blast zones up are big. So we don't have to worry so much about like also Peach has some decent upkill options like up smash. Um and so we don't have to worry about those as much anymore because well the top blast zone's so high that it's gonna help us. But then when we are ledge trapping, any hit will kill significantly earlier. And then, of course, like Josh said, we have combos. Whenever the side platforms are on Town City, like the ones on either side above the ledge, both Roy and Chrom have combos from like I think 0 to 20, really at a lot of percent ranges, but like where we can just take people from center stage onto those platforms and kill them off of true combos.
Right.
And or if they catch you air dodging or like trying to land to one of those platforms, Josh did this to me in bracket where he was at like 120 and I was at 35, and he baited an air dodge to a side platform, jumped in side bead, and won the game because I died.
Well, you know what? That sounds like your fault for not banning Town and City, if you ask me.
So
I
would
think,
ban those if I were you.
yeah, no, for sure. It sounds like a good idea. I think that about wraps up our podcast for today. We've covered neutral, advantage, and disadvantage, and all the things that come along with it. We've covered our stages. The only thing that's like in the JMU, we have a day for combos and strings and kill confirms, but I feel like that's not really worth talking about here because I mean, all you have to know is like avoid the combo starters for Roy and Chrom. Like I don't know, avoid jab, avoid the down tilts, avoid the general stuff that most people know about. There's no really point in going in depth into the combos when I would really just suggest you go to the Discord for that. You can look at our JMU discussions throughout the week. You can look at even just like if you go to Chroycord or if you go to Paisycord, you can just look at the combo stuff that we have there, and you'll see plenty. You see all you need to know on that topic. So yeah, no, I think we've covered it pretty well today. We'll come up.
I love combos. So like I have a bunch of combos lab. So if you ever wanted to know,
Yeah,
look out in the lab
definitely hit up
Chrom.
Chroycord for that. Yeah.
Yep.
In that case, we're gonna call it for today. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, my friends, for coming on the podcast with me. It's been Dark.Pch. We've had Josmarlu, and we've had it was a gloomy, goomy, slimy thing. What's the tag? Gummy. I remember now. Yeah, no. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back again next week, next Saturday, with another podcast crew. We're gonna be posting this podcast in the JMU chat, so you can definitely go back to it anytime you want. It's going to be on YouTube. The YouTube is linked on this Twitch, so you can find all of our podcasts there. Definitely come back next week because we're going to have more stuff to talk about. Thank you, everybody, for joining me.
Thank you. You have a great, wonderful rest of your day.